Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm excited to share with you this deep, dark autumn, dark fantasy makeup. I love this makeup because you can easily wear it every day as your go-to office look or a dark romantic fantasy makeup, which inspired the outfit I have on today. So without further hesitation, let's get cozy and jump right into this video. Already done my foundation and concealer. I needed to blank out and warm up my complexion. So that is where we're at now. And I also blocked out my lip color. When I'm doing these looks where I'm adjusting my undertone to suit a character, I like to blot out my lip color. That way, whatever lip color I put on top shows up a lot more true without the cool, mauvey influence of my natural lip color. I'm going to start with my lip color and I'm going to put down a stain. That way it will last all throughout the day or night. Romantic Juicy Lasting Tint in the shade number 23, Macadamia. This is a really beautiful ruddy brown. I love these lip stains. Whether you are getting ready to go to a Halloween party or you're going to work or school, whatever it is, I love these stains for putting down a sheer stain of comfortable color. What I love about K-Beauty lip stains is they give you this really beautiful glossy shine, but they don't dry out the lip like some of the stains that we're accustomed to here in North America. This is a really great one. Again, if you are part of that deep autumn color family, this is a great neutral. It could even act, depending on your skin tone, your lip sweat better kind of shade. And it just really helps to add so much life to the blank canvas that we're working with. My eyes are going to be quite simple. I want to make sure my lips and my cheeks carry the look on, because when I was putting together my references, which I'll insert here on the screen, but my references for this look: Morticia from Wednesday, the Mirror Queen from Brothers Grimm, Christine from the Phantom of the Opera, and then I loved Paloma's makeup at the most recent Victoria's Secret fashion show. I want a soft flush of rosy color with a light yet shimmery eye for a little bit of that dark romantic ethereal effect. So for a little bit of cheek color to get a stain down, I'm going to use the Milani Liquid Cheek Kiss. This is the shade number 140 Rose Romance. And the great thing with this shade is it is truly a neutral rose. So depending on your coloring, it can go a little bit warmer or a little bit cooler. I want to keep the blush shade quite sheer, so I'm going to use the same beauty sponge that I use to apply my foundation, and I'm going to work the blusher in and just gently blush on. I want to do quite a broad placement because with this look I want the dark romance. That's the overall essence, and I feel like that's a really wearable look. So if you are a deep bottom and you want a soft romantic flush, using a liquid or cream cheek color, you can even use your lipstick and apply it in more of a broad placement. It's going to help give a natural flush. Some people call it the boyfriend blush, where you're almost doing like this inverted triangle. I like to go along the side of the nostril. So you can go from anywhere from right next to the nose wing, or you can go for more the middle of the eye. Whatever you like. I like to do a broader placement because I feel like it helps to slim the face and bring the facial feature more inward, so it creates a slightly smaller look to the face because the middle portion is then taking up more of the space. So I want to kind of go inner corner of the eye to just past the outer corner of my eye, go down to just shy of the outer corner of my lip, and then make a little triangle and fill it in. And that will give you a very soft flush. This is going to be a broader placement than you do a powder blush on top because it's going to give you a soft gradient. Since I want this to be a little bit more of a romantic flush, whatever blush I have left on my sponge, I'm going to take a little bit over the ball of the chin, over the nose, and just a teeny tiny bit right in the center of the forehead near the hairline. Think about when you are embarrassed or you flush, the blush is a very gentle blush that takes over the entire face. So you want to use the residual blusher, lipstick, whatever color you're adding to your cheeks at this step, just slightly diffuse all over the face because it will give it more of a naturally diffused wash of color. Now that I've got my color on, I want to start embellishing my eyes. Keeping this as more of an everyday look, I want to start with my eyeliner. For your eyeliner, you can, if you are going to keep it right close to your lash line, you could go in with a black or a black brown or even a warm true brown. I am going to use a dark taupey brown as that's what I have in my collection. For this step, I want to apply it right in the root of my lash line. That way it gives more emphasis to the shape of my eyes without looking like a heavy eyeliner. And that's going to really help to draw that alluring eye look, to draw focus into the eyes. Work the pencil just into the root of the lash. If you get a little smudge on the top lash line, it's okay. We haven't put any powder down, so all that is on my eyelid is a little bit of the concealer that I applied to my face as like an eyeshadow base. That is going to help us smudge this out. So don't worry, we can go back and fix any smudging. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other lash line. Okay, now I'm gonna move to the upper lash line. This is completely optional. If you want to, just smooth over the lash line to smooth out any lumps or bumps with a little cotton bud, or you can do what I'm gonna do if you want a little extra impact. So I'm going to use the side of my liner just here on the outer corner of my eye. I'm going to draw a few little dashes going just past the midway portion of my eye. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now you can see the concealer on my lid is creasing, which is good. We are going to work with that. I'm gonna use a flat brush, and I am just gonna start by smoothing over any creasing, and then I'm gonna use the side of this brush just to tap over the eyeliner. You can go all the way over it, or you can just do the side edge. But this is gonna help me smooth the liner just to create a little bit more of a soft, smoky gradient. I'm going to move on to setting the eyes with a little bit of powder color just to keep it naturally enhancing. I'm using this e.l.f. eyeshadow palette in Nude Mood. I was looking on the e.l.f. website and it seems like they do still have these 10 color eyeshadow palettes. They're just in different packaging. And this particular variation, there is still a Nude Mood palette. This is just a nice range of neutral to neutral warm shades of eyeshadow. I am going to do the reverse eyeshadow technique. That way I can add soft definition to this eye look without overwhelming it. I'm going to start with a small brush and I'm going to use this dark matte brown. Use that dark shade right at the root of my lash line. And what I love about this reverse eyeshadow technique, if your blending's not great, it's okay, because the next step is going to be a little bit lighter, until you get to your lightest shade. So you are going to be blending the entire time. So get the hard part that's a little bit more intimidating with these darker colors, that's a little bit more scary, and you are going to be able to create a nice soft blend with a lot more ease than trying to blend your dark shades into your light shade. Now I'm going to switch to a little fluffy pencil brush, and I want to blend together this more reddy umber brown with a slightly cooler midtone brown. With this shade, I want to start by gently buffing over my lash line, and then I'm going to start tapping the color into the socket of my eye, and then I'll go back down to my lash line and just trace and press over. We're getting a suggestion of color and shape while diffusing the previous step. So if it looks a little rough, it's okay. If you get a little bit of fall down, it's okay. We can clean all of that up really easily. So just keep moving along. And if you are worried about fall down, make sure you're tapping your brush off after you load it up with powder. That will knock off any of the extra little bits that are just hanging on there, so you can worry about less product flying off your brush. So now look side to side. If you're like me, I'm always a little bit heavier handed on my right side. So I go back in to the left side and just build it up one more time. And this will normally get me to the same level of depth and intensity that I have on the other side. And that's a great thing with having a mirror that you can have a little bit closer to you, but also have a mirror like a little bit further away so you can compare side to side. Because when you're up close and you're looking one eye to the other, you might not notice the difference in color side to side or difference in depth. But if you're looking a little bit further aside, you can see side to side and see your color variations. I'm gonna keep looking a little bit further away. I'm gonna use a light hand and I'm gonna gently just start to wiggle my brush and connect the lines and dots and dashes very slightly. This is not a big step. If you're like me and your outer lid is a little bit heavier, keep a light hand on your brush. Keep looking straight ahead into your mirror. If you have any little creases or folds, because when I work over here, the skin on this part of my eyelid's a little bit loose, so it wants to move. But if I keep a light hand, I can just gently go over. If I feel resistance from the skin pulling, just lighten my pressure and then skim over top. I'm going to switch to a brush, a little blending brush. It's a little bit bigger, not necessary, but a little bit of a larger brush will help you blend more easily. Down to this more camel color. And with this shade, all I want to do is just focus on blending and softening. If you're unsure on where to blend and where to stop your blend, when I take my brush, I like to place it about 50% on the previous shade I applied and 50% above. That will allow me to get a clean gradient of color. So now I'm going to go to a large fluffy blending brush. Nothing is going to go on this brush. I'm going to use this brush clean, and I'm going to use this just to buff over, buff. I am going to go right over, no rhyme or reason, just buff and blend over until you are satisfied with your blend. This is going to be like a magic eraser, or if you're used to using something like Photoshop or some type of creator studio platform on your phone or on your computer, this is almost like turning down the opacity on your eyeshadow. It's going to allow you to create a little bit more of a translucent layer and soften your blend. And using the brush with no product on it, all you're doing is working with that residual product that you had already laid down and softening it. You are diffusing it. Now I'm going to go back to that flat brush that I used to blend over the eyeliner, and I'm going to go to this light cream shade. This I'm going to pat right over this inner portion of my eye, and that is just going to set down the rest of my eyelid, and I'm going to hug right under where I applied that darker shade to the socket line. Again, that is going to help me blend and just clean up. This is what's going to help open up this inner corner of the eyes. It's going to draw more lure because you're adding the light to the dark. We're creating a really beautiful hazy gradient of color, and then I'm going to go right over the top. This shade should be about the same color as your skin tone. If the eyeshadow palette you're working with doesn't have a shade quite like this, use a little bit of whatever powder, face powder, powder foundation, whatever skin powder that you have, just to set down and blend. And then I'm going to go back to that fluffy brush that we were using just to smooth our blend, and same thing, just right on the edge of where that skin tone shade meets the darker shades. I'm going to blend between the two. Here's soft definition added to our eyes. You can apply a little bit of mascara, call it a day. But when I was thinking of my references, especially thinking about Morticia Addams and Paloma's makeup, or the makeup from the most recent Victoria's Secret fashion show, which was done by Pat McGrath, I want to add a little bit of ethereal candlelight sparkle. If you're doing like a Christine from Phantom of the Opera, this is going to be your eyelids glistening from the flickering of the candlelight. So for this, I am going to use an eyeshadow from Ulta Beauty. This is still available. It's just in a new packaging. It's the Ulta Beauty Bouncy eyeshadow, and this shade is called Italian Ice. This is a translucent warm brown with a gold pearl, and I am going to put this right over my eyelid. This is going to add a nice wet glossy sheen to the eyes, and it's going to help tie everything together, but it's going to add a very soft twinkle. Since this is primarily a dark autumn makeup look, it is dark and it is a little bit softer. You're not going to have a lot of high contrast. Even though things are slightly deeper, there is still a softness because it's a part of the autumn color palette. This is going to give us a little bit of a light reflect, a little bit of light sparkle, but it's not going to be an intense glitter. It's going to give you a soft haze to your eye look. I'm going to use a little fluffy blending brush, and I am just going to gently buff away or sweep away any little bits that fell out under my eye. Since we were working with colors that are close to our skin tone, any fallout's not going to be super obvious. Once I've done that, I'm going to use my sponge, and this is a sponge I keep handy just to blend over. So kind of like I had a brush earlier to lay down and apply the eyeshadow, then I had the other brush to blend. One sponge to apply things. I have another one I keep clean to go through, lift off excess product, and blend things out. And again, it's going to remove a little bit of the product that you put down, but it's going to make everything look a little bit softer and a little bit more elegant. I want to go ahead and powder. I'm going to be using a little bit of a powder foundation. This is MAC Studio Fix Press Powder in the shade NC13. 15, and this is an olive shade. So I just want to lightly powder all over. It's been about 15-20 minutes since I finished my base makeup, so I want to just lightly powder it. My foundation's had quite a bit of time to dry down, so there's no need for me to set it with a puff. You can if you want to. I just want a soft wash of powder so that way I can apply powder products on top without them skipping or grabbing. Now, when I'm thinking about a dark, romantic, deep dark autumn makeup look, I don't think about a lot of bronze. I think about more of a softly sunken cheekbone, really gorgeous bone structure, like it's almost being exaggerated by the candlelight. I think about Lily Rose Depp in Nosferatu, how it's kind of dark and sunken but romantic. Or you could even think about Morticia Addams. I'm gonna use my same powder brush and I'm gonna use a little bit of this sculpting powder from Roman, and I am just going to gently buff right under the cheek. I don't want to do a chisel contour. I just want to exaggerate the hollow of my cheekbone, and by keeping loose in my placement and then dragging it down, it's gonna create a softer look. Whatever I have left, I'll just drag down the side of my nose. Then I'm going to switch over to highlighter. This is the Laura Mercier Matte Radiance Baked Highlighter. This is one of my favorite highlights when you want a beautiful glow to the skin, but you want a soft glow. When I was looking online, this product is really hard to track down, so it might be in the process of being discontinued. But if you like the idea of something like this, or something like the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powders, something that's just as good, if not better, and a lot more affordable, is the Essence Pure Nude Baked Highlighter in the shade number 10, Be My Highlight. I just want to highlight the top of my cheekbone. I want to do a very broad placement. So where I did a broad placement with my little contour powder, I'm going to do the same thing. I want to lightly go over and highlight pretty much my entire cheekbone. By using a product with a soft glow and such a broad placement, once I layer my blush on top, it's going to give a soft glow. Take a little bit just down the bridge of my nose. Is I like to think I've got overhead lighting, like you have a flickering candelabra above you. You have these shadows coming down. I want the light to bounce off the high points of my face. A great trick, if you're not sure, hold your brush with a loose hand and just flick downwards. So move your brush down. Moving down, it will hit the high point and skip the low point, because by doing this, you are brushing down, only hitting the highest point. If you go straight in like this and buff, you could skew the line between the high point and the low point. So working your way little strokes downwards, you are just going to go over the high point. Kind of like when I go here on my nose, I skip this little dip right here at the top of the bridge, and I can just go straight down, and I'm only going to hit what's highest. So that's mostly this section right here. Same thing with my chin. So right here is where it hits, right here. Since I'm wearing this wig with the bang, once I relax the bang and take the little clips out, you won't see anything on the forehead, so I'm not going to do anything on the. Speaking of the Essence Pure Nude Baked Highlighter, one of my favorite products for deep autumn is this Essence Pure Nude Baked Blush. This is the shade number 6, Rosy Rosewood. It is so beautiful. This is very similar to the Milani Rose Romance cheek color I applied. I'm gonna work it into the back of my hand, and what I love about this shade is, depending on the skin tone, it will go a little bit more warm or cool. So I'm going to use a light hand, and I'm using the brush I used to powder my face, and then I would start by flicking downwards, so overlapping my highlight and buffing over, just to add a soft glow. When I'm taking my product, I use the side of my brush, tap, 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 then work it into the palm of my hand. On those high points. To lock everything in where I'm at, I'm going to take a little bit of my setting spray, let it set for a minute, and I want to go through and do the rest of my lip makeup and my eye makeup. For my lip pencil, something I love doing for these transitional seasons. So your transitional seasons are going to be your deep or dark autumn and winter, bright winter and spring, light spring and summer, and soft summer and autumn. Since you're right on the transitional, so it's in a flow palette going from one seasonal color palette to another, you have a range of neutrality, and especially with some of these shades, if you're using all colors from you feel like it's missing something, tiptoe into a neighbor color palette. So for instance, we are working in our deep autumn or dark autumn color palette today. So next door to us is going to be deep or dark winter. So I want to use a neutral leaning cool lip liner that is in the same depth of color as my lip stain, but just a little bit cooler. It's going to give it a very soft definition and a little bit of an extra contour without feeling too stark. I'm using the classic matte lip pencil in the shade Whirl, and I've already applied my lip stain, so I'm going to go right over top. If you are a neutral warm color palette and you go with a slightly more cool tone, it's gonna look like it's a little bit darker because cool tones naturally want to pull away from the light, whereas a color that has more warmth will pull towards you. So doing a similar color with a slightly cooler undertone will make it look like it's receding and adding fullness and make it look like you have a more intense lip liner on than you really do. This makes it a lot easier than going with a dark plum or a dark chestnut brown, and you still get that gradient without that harshness. To finish off the lip look, you could use a lip gloss to add a little bit of shine, but I want something that's gonna last a little bit longer than a lip gloss, and I wanna add a little bit more depth. Sensual, romantic, bitten lip look, but in a deep autumn take. I'm gonna use the very classic Revlon Super Lustrous Lipstick. This is in the creme finish, and it's number 130 Rose Velvet. Since I've used this more as a gloss, I'm just gonna focus on the center. And now I'm going to finish off with the matte MAC Stack Mascara. You could use a dark black brown. For this, since I want the contrast, I'm going to use a black mascara. For the hair, I used the same base I used for the Elphaba look. So I curled everything with a very large curling iron, a 1.5 inch curling iron, and I curled everything going under for more of that classic Victoria's Secret bombshell wave. I wanted to keep the volume for this look and keep a heavier root, but I wanted these more romantic undone curls. So I used 2 different irons. I went through and did a rough curl using a 1/2 inch curling iron, and I can't remember how many sections I did now, but I took everything and I worked in alternating directions. So I would do away from the face, I would go under, then I would go towards the face, and then repeat working my way towards the center, and then I would reverse that technique for the other side of the face, and then I would do that all throughout the head. And then once I took things down, I would then take my 1/4 inch iron and I would use it almost like a wand. I wanted some of these tighter, smaller curls waved in because I wanted the hair to feel romantic and lush. Using these alternating curl patterns and different sizes, it would add just a little bit of that dramatic yet romantic edge that was undone and slightly organic. Using that, I went through and then just using my fingers and a comb to go through and break apart, rough up the curls. And then since this wig has a fringe, I tried using pin curls, but I don't think it wants to stay, so I would probably have to hairspray it in place. I need to do brows because my eyebrows are way too light for this look. I'm going to go back to this e.l.f. palette and I'm going to mix the dark gray with this slightly more neutral brown. Now we need to finish off with a fragrance. I wanted a fragrance that felt dark and romantic and slightly vintage, kind of like the look that we're wearing. And when I was going through my collection for something that fit that narrative, I came across what felt like the most perfect thing. This is the Narciso Rodriguez for her Musc Noir Rose. This is such a beloved fragrance of mine. I love that it smells mysterious and kind of distant all at the same time. It has a quality that feels vintage, and it feels like it's something that you've encountered in the past, but you can't quite put your finger on it. I find from the Narciso areas for her range, Musc Noir and Musc Noir Rose are really interesting additions. They're definitely a departure from the other fragrances, as they have that vintage, powdery, just almost old world type of smell. I really love it. I felt like it goes so well with the look that we have today. Let me know, what is your favorite deep dark autumn makeup staple? And let me know if this is a look that you would try to recreate for your day-to-day look. Until we see each other again, I hope you're taking care of yourself wherever it is you are in the world, and I will see you later. Bye, y'all.